As escape room owners, we all know how important it is to use amazing tools that add to our players' experience. The man behind Escape Games Global has done just that and then some. Not only does his system give your players something they can take away from your location, but players can keep track of and record their wins and losses with every game they play. I am so excited to introduce you to Mason Ambrose from Escape Games Global. Hey guys, welcome back to the show. You are watching Find Your Escape. I am your host, Amanda Contreras, and I am with Mason Ambrose, the guy, the inventor, the man behind the scenes, the rewards guy of Escape Games Global, Mason, in Florida. Semi-close to Orlando.
Yes, it's true. All these things are true.
Let's go into you and how did you become, that sounds great English, how did you become Mr. Escape Games Global? What did you do before escape rooms took over your life?
When I was younger, I played video games a lot, like every guy, and I started getting into it a little bit too much, as my parents would say, and I started playing professionally, or kind of semi-professionally, and then eventually into professionally. And so what I did is I eventually started to kind of travel around to different parts of Florida, then different parts of the country, and
really, that's so awesome.
Yeah, and just kind of geeked out a little bit. It was more really about the competition than it was the money, because not a lot of people make money, at least back then. Now,
video gaming is so awesome.
Yeah, well, it's not that it wasn't awesome back then, Amanda. It's just it wasn't that profitable. Now it is very profitable. There's a lot of things in the place.
Right.
That being said, when let's say I was going to go play a tournament against a game against somebody, let's call them some really cool video game name, like Reaper Zero Extreme or something, somebody that I'm playing. I could go on the internet and I could look them up and I could say, how many games has he won? Who did he beat? Am I good against those players? Well, what does it look like when he plays? I'm going to go watch a video of him. I could kind of do research before I actually play the guy, so it kind of helps me on when I play him. The problem is, and that's kind of what I'm used to. So when I started playing escape rooms, I found that, when you go to an escape room, it's like, and you beat it, you always feel like Sherlock Reborn for the most part. You're like, shh, this is new territory. This is all me. I'm pretty much the most smart person in the world. I know I did this with the help of 7 friends, but it's me. It's all me, right? So, I mean,
because you're the guy.
Well, yeah, and I'm pretty sure that everybody has that similar feeling, right? But that being said, then you go and you go to a bar or whatever, and you go out to eat, and you talk about all the cool stuff that you saw in the room, the fun moments, the scares and all this stuff like that. And I always liked that part. That was my favorite part after playing the room. But it's finite. It ends, and then the next day you wake up and you go about your life. With video games, you'd always have access to that information. You could always go check it out or see how you did, whatever. And I think that I was missing that. So I'm a programmer, and what I wanted to do was kind of add that into escape rooms. And I'd actually befriended a few escape room owners around here because I'm in Orlando, and there's a lot of escape rooms here.
Right, totally.
Yeah, so it's actually easy to befriend people. Befriending sounds like I found like an indigenous tribe.
Right.
It wasn't that, because they don't typically run escape rooms, indigenous tribes, but I did meet a guy that owned an escape room and started talking to him and kind of found out what the pain points of running that business was. And so I kind of got in there, made some waivers, made some achievements. I said, I can make photos too. And then I kind of put the software together. But the main goal of the software is after your game is done, there's a profile online for you. There's multiple profiles online for you. And your game history from day 1 to year 10 or whatever is calculated and accumulated. You have achievements, you have best records, and you're on leaderboards, and you're on national leaderboards, and you're competing. Even if you don't know you're competing. So there's a certain percentage of the population that gets into it. I find that in any industry, that percentage of the population typically pushes the envelope a lot more than the other part. And so they start trends, they design games like Lisa and David or Chris Michelle or whatever. And so I kind of made software for them. And then I figure a lot of other people like it. And so far, they have.
That's really awesome. Okay, so let's talk about Escape Games Global.
Okay.
You created this for a couple of escape room owners to start out with.
More or less. I mean, I knew I was going to commercialize, but I needed to get, let's say, guinea pigs out there at the beginning.
Sure. And then tell me about Escape Games Global, like what it is, what it does for escape room owners, and how it can help more owners with their customers. Does it bring them more business? Is it just like a way, like, tell me what it does for them. What benefits do they get out of having and being a part of Escape Games Global?
Escape Shoot Global, right.
Escape Shoot Global.
Escape Games Global is essentially, I basically looked at all the technology that Escape Room has and what I can kind of help with from a web perspective. Escape rooms have waivers. We have waivers. Escape rooms typically take team photos. We can do that too. So what our software does is, the way I explain it is, there's like 4 steps of technology when a person finishes their booking process, right?
Okay.
So the first thing, or when they finish their stay at an escape room, first thing is they book online. So first step. Second, they come inside and then they fill out a waiver. Typically, it doesn't have to be tech, but let's just say it could be. The third one is usually timing software. And so when you go into the room, you play and get those notifications on the TV, so on and so forth. And the fourth one is usually team photos. And the fifth one that's kind of not really involved at this point was just following up, email marketing, and just letting the players know that they can view their stuff here. It's kind of, after they leave, it's basically an infinite process of touch points if you can, right? Because you want to be involved, you want to keep involved. So what Escape Room does, or Escape Games Global, is it takes care of the waivers aspect, team photos aspect, and then the touch points after they leave. So it keeps you keeps those people, you as a customer of Escape Games Global, puts you in front of those people more and more and gives them a reason, an incentivization to come back and check you out. But it really it just streamlines the distribution and sign up process for customers and allows you to focus more on your business and kind of, I have an artist buddy that we were talking about actually, and I was talking to him and I was saying, why isn't your business blown up? Why? Well, because you're amazing. You won every award. Why aren't you? He's like, I don't know. He's like, I just want to do my art. And that's when I realized he didn't want to do any marketing. He didn't really want to do any communication or whatever. But that's kind of what it takes to kind of go from A to B, or let's say A to D.
Yeah.
He wanted to focus on what he was passionate about. So with Escape Games Global, typically what we do is we kind of remove a lot, not all, because you still have to do a lot of it on your own, but we remove a lot of the parts that are just annoying to do. So you can just focus on making good games and making your customers happy. So you don't have to worry about technology bits.
So we actually use you guys. I've been a customer for, I think, a little over 6 months. I'm not for sure. Something like that. And it's so great because I don't have to do anything except for let my game masters sign everybody in, make sure they have the correct emails. I mean, we only hear about if they don't have the right emails, if they call us and say they didn't get their picture. But other than that, the game masters hit one button at the end. Mm-hmm. Everybody gets their picture. They get their awards. They get everything. Now, for people who don't know about you, if I was a player at, let's say, Fox in the Box, and then I went to, Houdini Escapes, or I went to Crossroads Escapes, or I went to Red Lantern, or whoever, and let's say they have your waivers, and I signed in with my email address, would it bring up all of my past rewards, all of my awards, all of my past everything? How would it remember me?
Well, there's a few different ways it does it. For one, if you're signing the waiver and you put in your email address, it pre-populates the waiver, right? So real quick, you don't have to fill out the rest of it. If they go to your site with your store stats, they can find themselves and it'll show all the games that they played at your store. If they go to escapegamesglobal.com, they can actually search for their own profile and find all the games that they've ever played where they used Escape Games Global.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So they go to your website, they punch in there, and they can see everything.
Yeah. So I have like 100 games on my profile because I've played in a lot of places. But you can see it in all the team photos associated to each, so on and so forth, and the achievements you want. Yada, yada.
That's so awesome. I'm so glad. Seriously, I'm so glad that you made this, because I think every escape room owner should be using your system. I think it's amazing, and I will never stop using it. So thank you for making such a great program, and using your nerd self to come up with something amazing all the time. Yep, right. Okay, do you have anything? Do you guys have anything that you're working on, like in the future, that you're going to bring to the table? Is there surprises for us?
Yeah, we're working on, like, as we kind of touched base on, we're working on Instagram integration. We're working to make it so you can design. Like right now, we have kind of a very cool looking email that you can kind of modify certain parts of. We're going to make it so you can kind of do whatever email you want with whatever content you want in it. But there's two things.
Like for email marketing to our customers?
Right, because what happens with Escape Games Global is when you finish a game, the customers get an email with their team photo in it, and the email also has marketing prompts, for the customers, like, you can play these other games, here's a promotion you can use, review this or that, please, on Google, whatever. So we want to make it a little bit more open-ended, so you can, because we're really, there's a standard set in place, so it'll always look pretty. There's nothing you can do to muck that up, and that's the way it is right now. But we're going to give the option to designing whatever it is you want. There's a small percentage of our customers that would probably take advantage of that, because usually people like to say simple and pretty. But that being said, and there's two things we're working on in the next few months that have kind of slowed down a little bit. A is we're doing kind of an online reputation tool, and that basically will allow you, and it's not a super innovative idea, but what we can do with it, given the fact that we have the data we have, it is pretty cool. So what it will be is, once you give them an email, and it'll really kind of emphasize reviewing you on Facebook or Google or what have you. And then what it'll do, the customer will click that link and it'll go to, let's say, our site, and it'll say, how was your stay here? 1 to 5 stars. And you would set something like below 4, I don't want those. I only want above 4. So then if they say 3, it says, ouch, I'm sorry we couldn't do something for you. What would you like to tell us? What do we do wrong? And it'll kind of grab that information and kind of give it to you for feedback. But if they say, oh, 5 stars, absolutely, you're like, well, here's Google, or here's this. So it kind of puts a bit of a bad review filter on your software.
That's really awesome, though, because sometimes, for people, and this is actually really important, for someone to give a 3-star, they'll have hey, we had a really good time, we had really this, but parking was horrible, and that's why they give you a 3-star. Because I know a lot of other escape room owners, just as myself, has had a review like that, and it's really, you're giving me 3 stars for a parking lot?
Yeah.
I can't do that. So, and it has nothing to do with the games, with the game masters, the amount of fun they had. It was just simply something that was a non-negotiable that I could fix. And so, rather than boost your rating, it lowered it because you have no control of the parking lot.
Yeah, I broke my nail in the lobby and frustrated me to all.
Correct. Yeah, that's really awesome, because I think that for us to get feedback allows us not necessarily to say, oh, well, we don't want that review on there, but at least it gives us as owners feedback. Okay, what do we need to work on? How can we make this better? Is there anything we can do about it? Is it out of our hands? Or, you know what, guys, this was a really bad review. So-and-so messed up. We need to work on this, or you're fired, or, something like that. But definitely allow us to see what good things people say about us. And obviously, there's always more good things than bad. I think it comes now down to, like you said earlier, people are really picky, or they feel like they have the ability to pick things apart when they have no idea what's going on, and they've just been to 25 escape rooms, which is not actually a lot, but it is to some people, and they feel like they can just pick you apart because your prop didn't work one time. You know what I mean? And which happens all the time. So I think it's really good.
They believe, because they didn't get the clue, that they need to dissect the clue, or the mechanism for the puzzle, because it wasn't right.
Right.
Because they've done so many rooms, they would understand the way it would work.
Right. So I think that's a really good thing to have. So I'm really excited that you're bringing that. That makes it fun.
We're really, really excited about that. That's coming up in 2019. We were hoping it would be here already. It's just it's a hard nut to crack, but it's very, 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 very cool.
That's cool. But long processes mean better products.
Exactly.
Mason, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate chatting with you. We're going to hang out really soon. Yeah. Everyone's just going to be
not drink margaritas.
That's right.
But eat chocolate.
Drop the mic.